I am Mr. A. I'm teaching chemistry and partially biology for the past 3 years. UT graduate as well, Maker Fellow in addition to that. So it's been a pretty awesome experience. But yeah, teaching is my thing and I enjoy it. So, yeah.
So what do you see as the role of, this could either be one of two things, either the role of making in learning, or what do you see as the relationship between making and learning? How does that appeal to you as a teacher?
Well, for me, I think naturally that we're just all learners. Like, we all naturally want to learn. I mean, if you go to a kindergarten class, I mean, you got the blocks, you got the toys, the wooden blocks and everything, the toy cars and everything, the dolls, all the different things. And, like, kids just take that and make things from their imagination. And I don't think that really leaves you, per se. I think maybe the school system kind of sucks it out of you. But I still think that's there, right? And so, I think the goal of making is to kind of bring that ingenuity because, it's that creativity, that ingenuity, that, thought process, right, that helps spur new ideas that really has pretty much helped shape the world today. And so that's why I think making is just so important to have, especially in the classroom, no matter what age demographic. I think you can be 9 years old and still be doing amazing things. I've seen people that are that old in maker, so they're still learning new things. So it's open for anybody, and I think it needs to be a lot more in the education system as well.
So tell us about the lesson that you're going to teach today.
Okay, so the lesson I'm going to teach today is the students. I wanted to do a review for them, but I could have did a Kahoot or Blickit or gave them a packet. I was like, I really don't want to do that. I want to try something different. It's a new year, new me, and I want to try something different. And the past year, although we've been doing really good, I feel like I could really expand a bit more and take some risks. So this Maker lesson is focusing on having them review certain terms from the last year and creating something 3D-wise based off of those terms. And I'm pretty sure a lot of them, before they do this, you're not going to realize how they're going to do it. They're going to see some of the things and be like, me doing it? No, never, right? But I'm pretty sure afterwards they're going to be very surprised and shocked to see well, I didn't know I could use this tool or do this, right? So I think that's going to be a real kind of shock to them from this lesson. So that's what I'm hoping for.
So what are your learning goals for them? You kind of addressed that a little bit, but what is it that you're hoping they're going to learn from this lesson?
I'm hoping they'll learn a little bit of chemistry, right, from last year, just regarding some of the terms or things that we've learned, right? But I'm also hoping that they realize that even in the field of science, there is creativity involved. Because, when it comes to STEM, it's a lot of times it's like, oh, hey, do this, and math, and, it kind of, creativity is kind of cut off, right? And that's not the case. In fact, if you look at many chemists, many scientists, it took a lot of ingenuity and creativity to make certain inventions, to have certain ideas. Just think about going to the moon, to think of something like that, hey, that giant ball that's 300,000 miles away, we're going to get to that someday. Wait, how do you do that, right? Well, you got to create something, you got to make something, you got to do something that no one was thinking about. And so by making and having them doing this lesson, they're not only learning about these scientific tools, but they're also creating something that never existed, right? And hopefully that can be a barrier for them to learn different things.
Tell us what we're going to see in this lesson.
So I'm hoping that you see a lot of fear initially in their eyes. That's what I'm hoping for initially, doing what? But I'm also hoping to see as far as just them surprising me, right? Because I never know what to expect from these lessons. It's the first beginning of the year. We kind of went through the motions, and sometimes you're just tired and you have to go through some notes and lecture. And y'all probably know me. I hate lecture, right? So I was telling them that, hey, y'all are in for a treat, and I really wanted to kind of keep it a surprise, per se, not go into too much detail what Maker was, but I'm really hoping to see that creativity and that kind of aha moment kind of spur out, and them create something that not only I wasn't expecting, but something that they weren't expecting as well. So that's what I'm really hoping for.
Do you have any sort of hopes or expectations for how students will respond?
Yeah, I'm hoping that they get that same feeling or spur of, wow, I can actually do some really crazy stuff with this. Just like the same feeling when I did Maker when I was first starting off. Because, it's one thing, to just get a sheet of paper and doodle on it, but to realize you can manipulate things like cardboard and everything, I'm really hoping that they kind of use those tools and just kind of go crazy with it. So that's really what I'm hoping. It's just kind of really stepping out of their comfort zone and making something that they're just really like, whoa, I didn't know I can actually do that. And also kind of wanting more at the end of the day, like, one, like, I really want to do this again. So that's what I'm hoping for.
That's cool. And I guess the last thing is, because we are talking to future teachers here, can you talk us through the 5E structure?
So the engage is just, engage should be simple. It's just ask them a question. So the question is just like, hey, have you ever made anything, or do you make things with your family, friends, or whichever, right? And, I probably expect some of them to say, like, no, I don't really make anything. Because a lot of people think like making an Empire State Building. They don't think about, like, making breakfast, or, working on a garden, or, making, I don't know, maybe playing a video game and you're making something in there, right? So a lot of students don't, like, consider that, like, making or creating. But I wanted to kind of expand that. And then the explore is kind of having them see different tools that they can use to actually create something based off the topics we learned prior to last year. What was the E after? It's explain. Oh, I think that was part of the explain too. So explaining it to them would be showing them this video that's going to actually showcase some of the topics. Some of the topics on how to manipulate cardboard and other things, and also some examples from me. I've actually been lying to them for the past half a year that I'm not artistic, and I may have lied to them, but they're gonna see that. And then afterwards, is it elaborate? Is it elaborate afterwards? Yeah. So the elaborate is them actually kind of going through and making it, but also coming back and giving feedback. And the last one is evaluate. So evaluate is they're going to be doing an exit ticket and kind of discussing about their thought process, what things that they could have improved on from the gallery walk that they're going to have, and also about me as well, because I think an important thing about being a person in the community, a scientist, whichever, is also giving feedback, reliable feedback. So that's going to be the evaluate part, evaluating me, the lessons, some things that they could improve on, but also I can improve on as well, because I think having that teacher-to-student feedback is important, because at the end of the day, they're the ones consuming your product, right? And they give feedback for that, so you can improve. It's a cycle that goes back from there, and that's pretty much it. So that's what I'm looking for.
Awesome. All right, we're excited. We can't wait to see it. Thank you.
Can't wait to. So what I need you to do is this. The first thing I need you to do is I need you to think for 30 seconds about this question. All right? Think about it. So 30 seconds, just in silence. What are some things you, your friends, or your family make? All right? So I just want you to think about it. Breakfast meal, YouTube video. One video. But what's something that you, your family, or yourself make? So 30 seconds. To yourself, y'all. About 5 more seconds. 3, 2, 1, and 0. All right, y'all. All right. So now, what I want you to do is I want you to talk to your shoulder partner. If you're not a shoulder partner, look directly across from you. And if you don't have that, just panic under. I'll be your temporary shoulder partner. All right. But I want you to talk to your shoulder partner on what are some things you, your friends, or your family make. Go ahead and. All right.
A couple of them would be what?
Okay. What's the thing for you and your friends? Like crazy.
What's your
Okay, cookies, cupcakes. This whole time I had a candle. Oh, yes, About 30 more seconds. Thank you so much. Appreciate it, Marlene. Appreciate it. Yeah, the lightning thing. Oh yeah, y'all play the lightning thing coming out. January 20th. Don't want this.
Oh, let's see.
Not like that. No, I mean spiraling things.
Food? Okay, gotcha.
I had like a Caesar salad.
Okay, that's right. All right, do you have a favorite food you like to make? Alfredo? Ooh, chicken. I might take a potluck. All right, y'all. So can I get your attention in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and 0. All right, y'all. So really quickly, what I'm gonna do. Oh, yeah, Johnson. So what I'm gonna do is lower down the volume here. And I'm gonna spin the wheel because of course I want to make sure I have y'all's engagement. Alright, so here we go. And I'm gonna have Joss click on this wheel. Alright, so Joss is spinning the wheel. Around and around it goes. Where it stops, nobody knows. Only the wheel does. Alright, it's lagging. Who's it gonna be? It is Zada. Alright. So Zada, what's just something that you make, create? What's something that you made or create? A team? Like can you go into detail? Like, is it like a so I'm trying to get the concept, like a sports team? Is it like a team. Like team, okay, cool, awesome. That's what's up. All right. Would anybody want to add on to that? What's something that you've created? And again, this is something like huge, major, right? All right. Oh my gosh, I got 2 hands. All right, I'm gonna go with because I got you last time. All right, Noel.
I make peace with my family when we argue.
All right. You make peace. All right. Hey, that's making. All right. A, did you want to add on to that? You're making a cow. A C-O-W, a cow. Oh my goodness! Can I hold it? Can I hold this? I was like, wait, you're making a cow? Like, wow, look at this, y'all. So he's making this. All right, cool, awesome. It's a little. All right, okay. So he's making a cow. Anybody else? Anybody else? All right, go ahead. You make blankets? Awesome. Okay, so Ella makes blankets. All right, and what I need you to do is I need you to find your team number, and I need you to go to that area. You want to be standing, all right, because just very important, helps alleviate the room, all right? So here we go. Make sure you have your paper with you and your journal. You won't really need your backpack. And then also, one more thing, y'all. Lab safety, very important. If you have a backpack, please put it underneath your desk because, you know, it's funny if I trip over it, but then if your classmates trip over it, then it's not as fun. It's actually very sad. It makes me mad. All right? So please make sure your backpack is underneath your desk so no one trips over it. Don't want any banana peel moments. All right? And here's the team. All right? So I'm going to give you 30 seconds. 30 seconds to head to your team. If you don't see your name on there, come to me so I can find a team for you. Give you 30 seconds to go find your team. 30 seconds. Again, the team number is on here. So let me know find your team. Find your team.
He knows what's up.
There's also numbers in the back here, so letting y'all know. Please take your paper and everything with you.
We went. If it was like a freestyle thing, or if it was like Jack and Moose yourself out of cardboard.
If you want to find your table, please be standing.
I mean, it's probably away, right?
Okay, all right. So you want to find your team number and stand with them. All right. Now, the next thing you're going to do, and again, I'm going to give you about 5 minutes to do this, is, and again, so you will need your crumbles for this, is I want you to write the definition on that word. On your paper it says definition. I need you to write the definition of that word. Look it up. If you feel like you already know it, that's fine. Because on the right side, it says write your own definition. You get that little definition and then write your own definition in your own words. Now, if you want a little head start, think about what images make you think of the word. All right? Well, you want to be writing on the definition of the word. I'm going to set a timer for 5 minutes. Timer for 5 minutes on the screen. So you're looking up the definition of the word.
I thought this was all being recorded.
You're not ready for it.
There we go. Timer is starting. So you're looking up the definition of the word, and again, everybody needs to write down the definition, the little definition of the word. All right. Y'all writing down. Which word did you get? Nice. All right. Are you feeling like an electron, proton, neutron? Right now. Wait, what? It's a legit question. It's a legit question. Feeling good? It's like a proton. Oh my gosh. Which word y'all got? Oh, you got metal. All right. Good. All right. Good. All right. So y'all got. Ooh, y'all got. Ion. Hey y'all, just letting y'all know, I got my eye on you. It's a terrible one. All right. Hey, you got Bohr model. Okay, nice. What do y'all hold?
Oxygen.
Oxygen.
Easy.
It's very important. I like that. Okay, gotcha. All right. So this one you got physical change. Okay. Okay. Ooh, you got isotope. Isotope. Interesting. And then y'all got neutron. Okay. Are y'all feeling like neutrons? So, you feel like neutrons?
Oh, no.
Yes. No. Maybe so. Alright, all good.
Oh, okay.
Flammability.
I'm mainly used to people just grabbing it. Yeah.
Good. Gotcha. So again, you're writing down the literal definition, and then you want to write down your own definition. This should be different from your classmates. Alright, it's in your own words. What does the word mean to you? What it sounds like. Maybe think of some objects or things that represent that word, right? So if you have oxygen, maybe have people, think about people breathing. If the word's relevant to you, try to go from there. Some of y'all have some tough words, I'm not going to lie. All right, that's why we're doing this. All right, so you want to write your own definition. Awesome, good job, okay. All right. Good job, good job. Y'all are making good with time. All right, so you're going to be using a variety of tools for today. Now, what's the most important thing when it comes to the lab?
Safety.
You, and also lab safety. And also lab safety, right? Which also relates to you, right? So, we're going to be using a lot of tools, all right? So, we're going to be using a hot glue gun, all right? The hot glue gun, which is back over there. I'm going to go ahead and run over. Actually, don't run left. All right, that's bad. Don't do that. So, the hot glue guns are right over, they're right over here. And the reason why I couldn't give y'all each one is because it's very broken. But also because I think it's better to have it coordinated at one station, right? We also have some zip snips. Now, I gotta be very careful. Zip snips? Wait, not this. Oh, canary cutters. Sorry. Canary cutters. These yellow highlight things. These things, they don't look too dangerous. They're very dangerous, all right? So, please, don't use them. All right, because it's very, some students are like, and they end up cutting themselves, and it's actually really bad. They look deceptively dangerous, right? So I'm probably going to have my eyes on the station. All right, awesome. Lizzie is my assistant for today. Yeah, say hi to Lizzie. Hi, Lizzie. Hi, Lizzie. Awesome. All right, canary zips over there. All right, we also have the zip snip, which in my opinion is a lot safer. It looks scarier, but I think it's a lot safer once you know how to use it. It's really cool. I think once you learn to use it, you're like, oh my gosh, I don't want to use it. All right, so again, just be careful about this. Very difficult cardboard. And let's say you don't have access to those tools. You have these scissors. All right, these are called cardboard cutting scissors. Right? Have you ever cut cardboard with regular scissors?
Yeah.
Is it fun?
No, it's not.
No, it's the most painful experience ever. All right, but these make it a lot easier because they're bent at a 135.64986 degree angle, so you can cut cardboard. All right, and then lastly, the most important tool that you have is your bare hands. All right, so letting y'all know. Furthermore, if you feel like you don't have enough tools, right, we also have these maker goodie boxes. All right, these ones have random items that you can use for your work. So just letting y'all know. That's random items that you use for your work. All right, so just letting you know. All right, so where are the majority of the materials at? Where are they looking at?
Over there.
Over there. All right. Now, Lizzie, you can help me out. I'm going to pass out one of those bags to each team because those are the base materials. I always like to start with base materials first that you will use for each team. So go ahead and pass that out to each team for me. All right. And you want to the next slide. Oops. Here there are some cardboard cutting techniques. So I'm going to play this video for you. I think we're halfway through, which is good. Okay, guys, good, good. All right. I'm going to play some techniques because some of y'all are like, man, I don't know how to use cardboard. But believe it or not, there's a lot of cool techniques you could use for cardboard. All right, that don't actually take that long, I promise. All right. So with your group, I want you to brainstorm and start drawing ideas about what your word is going to be about based off the definition. So, can someone tell me? What is the next step you're going to do? What's the next step? Yes, and where are you going to put that idea? Where are you going to draw that? On the paper where it says design ideas / what draft, right? You're designing your idea of what you want to do. Very important that you have that. You need to have your idea because that's going to make getting the materials and stuff easier, all right? Give you 2 minutes. Go ahead and start. I'll set a timer. So again, you're deciding and you're drawing a rough draft of what you want your 3D model of your word to be. Alright, y'all, so isotopes are a tough word, alright? But what do you have in mind for a design that you will use for the word based off that definition? Alright. Oh, like for your definition, because you're going to be drawing this naked 3D model. So it says isotopes are more. Alright. Isotopes are. I even know that, right? Oh no. So you gotta choose roll. It says atom that has same. There you go, right? So then your model needs to consist of that. So what should you probably have in your model? Mention the P word. Protons and neutrons, right? Maybe look up things that are used for isotopes. That can be things that you can use for. Y'all very difficult. My good thoughts. It's like in a string there, but alright, so y'all, how we going with errors? Good. Alright, guys. Alright, I'm going outside.
Yeah, I mean, most abstract art is terrifying anyway, so. Also really able to figure out.
Make sure you draw that down and write that down, alright, so y'all have your idea here?
Yes, spiky ball.
Okay, spiky ball, okay, good.
Raw.
Good, dissolve, y'all have your idea, right?
Yes, amazing.
Okay, it's all good. Okay, alright. Alright, y'all, so can I get this in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Alright, y'all, so now we're going to begin the making process. Alright, so first off, I need everybody to stand up. Stand up. Stand up. Alright, stand up. I'm going to put the lights on because y'all need to be able to see each other. Alright, as cool as it is to have the lights off. Alright, the reason I want y'all to stand up is because one of the things that's very tempting is just to stay in your seat. Y'all, when you're making, you need to move around, right? So again, first with the longest hair, raise your hand at your group. Alright, cool. So you're going to find this blue person area, blue person, right over there. Person with the shortest hair, raise your hand. You're going to grab a box of cardboard or some cardboard right on the back, right side of this little guy, alright? And the person with the middle hair, in the middle. Alright, raise your hand. Alright, you're awesome. Alright, you're going to be maintaining things at the whole base. Alright, so I'm going to give y'all, don't freak out. I'm going to write the time limit. I don't know how long y'all have. Alright, so, there's a reason to this. There's a reason why I'm doing this. I'm going to explain a little bit. Alright, so, go ahead and get started. Now again, what are you working on? What are you doing? What are you about to do right now? Exactly. Make the model what? Your word, yes. And is it a 2D model? Is it a 2D model? So should I be able to see it flat on the ground?
Yeah.
No, it needs to be elevated, like y'all's energy and and y'all's intelligence. All right. So go ahead and get started. Start the time right now. And wait, 1 second. Go. All right, go ahead and start. Get to moving. Long hair person, go ahead and grab look at the glow sticks. Short hair person, grab one piece of cardboard. Home person, look awesome. Yes, questions. There's tapes over there. There's tape back there. There's glue sticks back there. There's canaries and stuff. Lizzie will guide y'all. How's it going here? Awesome. So y'all got the dots here for that. Your design paper looks very good. Got some string. Good. Awesome. All good. So y'all got your cardboard. That's good. And what's your word? All good. And then just go for it. It's okay. It's okay to take that first leap. That's the hardest thing. Okay, who are liking that? Who got the... All right, good. All right. Good. So y'all have some copper tape. It's kind of hard to use. The cool thing about copper tape is actually not like there's some light on showcase conductivity. Alright. Okay. This group, how's it going over here? Ripping. I like that. Ripping cardboard. I love it. This is good. I like this energy. Okay. Okay. Technique being used. I like it. Look at that technique. Okay. Got some wild over here. This is good. Alright, this is good. This is good. So again, y'all got some awesome sticks back there, very good back here. If you want to use it. We also have squishy things, alright? Looking good. Okay. Alright, Josh. Okay, good job there. Good job.
Okay.
So that's creativity. Nice. There you go. All right. Okay, that's good. I just want to make sure. If you got it, you got it.
We just gotta be critical.
Just hold it down.
All right, y'all, we're approaching the wait 4 minutes. 4 minutes. We're approaching the last 4 minutes. That's when you want to take some final touches just to kind of keep you on pace.
I'm pretty sure. Or would we need another shot to like hold it? So this thing will hold. Should we get another shot on this?
I don't want to fuck up too much, but they all focus. Alright? I'm looking over here. I like that. I like that. Okay. Let's go. Okay, I like that. Okay.
This was literally so sad. Wait, get it? What are they gonna use for the middle?
It's not about the thing, it's about the journey.
Okay, yeah. You know what? Should we play from here? We should put a thing in the middle. Or you just stick it together like this.
He wants to
I was gonna go with you.
Dave?
Now?
No, we have 2 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the one's clean. It's clean. Here, clean. If you want to use it, you can.
Wait,
We'll straight back
I
up. I don't know what to do. I believe you.
I mean, if you want to take it, yeah, but just be sure to use it.
The butt there? Yeah. Doesn't need to be straight. No, I know. It's like, it was literally like curlicued. I was like, oh, it's okay.
Actually, go to the bottom.
All right, y'all, we're at the 2-minute mark. So you want to start making the final touches? The final touches.
Well, over there with that. When it's done. Oh, yeah. Okay, cool. Oops, sorry.
I'm sorry. 30 seconds.
Oh, I thought it said 30 seconds. I thought it said 30 seconds. Asha. Asha.
Together. 1 minute remaining. You're
I
at your
thought we were
final
going
touches.
between the mouth.
Final touches.
You have to make the mouth. No, yeah, I know. So, then why did we make the mouth bigger? I don't know what to do with the
All right. So, what we're going to do now, because we are running short on time, all right, is, so, you decide who your half of your group is, right? But half of your group, I'm going to say 2 of y'all from your group should walk to other tables, and choose a table that's like far away from yours, all right? And you want to write about what that person's word was, what they were trying to do. All right, so what you're going to do is you're going to, 2 of the people from your group are going to go to a different table and write about the word that the people are making. What did they struggle with? What did they enjoy? And then what was their thought process going through when they're making their idea? All right, so what are you going to be doing for the next 5 minutes? What are you going to be doing? So one person's going to say, 2 people are going to move around with your paper, or the paper, right, that you got. So went to the table, asking about their ideas and the thought process, right? In fact, I was trying to get to as many tables as you can to see what they did, all right? Is that clear? All right? After that 5 minutes, we'll do like a short 2 minutes for the other person to go do it, right? And then afterwards, we're going to have a whole talk about this today, all right? Is that clear? If you get it, can you say, whoop? Can I get a yerd? Yerd. All right, good. All right, so I'm going to put the lights back on, the music back on, all right? And you should be taking your paper and rotating to decide who it is discussing about. All right? Go ahead, y'all. Go ahead.
No!
You should be doing the gallery walk. You should be doing the gallery walk. I got the gallery walk music going on. All right. So,
It actually kind of looks like something he would make.
go ahead and like talk to the group. Boom, boom. Alright, so y'all gotta take your picture. Oh, you want to split up? Boom, boom. Alright, so, alright, so boom, boom. Alright. Alright, so what we gotta do it. Eeny, meeny, miny, boom. Alright, here you go. Alright, no, alright, you're allowed to stand up. Alright, you gotta stay and explain it. Alright, go ahead to different groups. Be careful about the cardboard. Alright. So again, you should be talking to other groups about what they made and the design process. The design process. Alright? Again, it's okay if you didn't finish. You have more to talk about if you didn't finish.
They're pointing him.
How's it going, Cindy? Alright, can you talk to Wilson about what y'all did and how y'all were designing and everything? So what was this about? What was your word? So forth, right? So what was your word about? So it's about the Bohr model, alright? And you can write that here. So talking to Sydney, SIDNEE, alright? And they made the Bohr model, alright? What was the hardest part, Sydney, about doing this? Can you go into more detail? What's this? I see an E right there. Electrons. Are those electrons? Alright, good. So again, yeah, I got a group right here who just kind of sort of finished yours. So can someone come and talk to them about their project? It's all good. Ooh, I love it. I love it. It's all good. It's all good. Alright,
it's so jank, dude. Oh my god, it's just so falling apart. That's amazing.
I did just. So,
and then check out what your how was it for y'all's project? I want to kind of. So I want to talk to y'all. So your all word was. So he's coming around about 2 more minutes. 2 more minutes.
It's supposed to be about with like little oxygen things coming I also love your dad.
So again, y'all communicate, talk to people, talk to them. They're awesome. They won't bite, at least most of the time. There you go. Talk about your ideas.
It's oxygen and it's oh yeah, so those really did not make it. Oh sure. It's okay, you're okay, bud.
Oh my god, that's
Don't tell them it's okay because it's not.
And so this is the original design right here. What was the hardest? Oh, that was your original design. What was the hardest part of this?
Gluing the I just now burnt my finger trying to smooth it down. I was trying to smooth it down. It kept falling apart. It kept falling apart, and it was like the glue was still wet, so I was like smoothing it down, and then I burnt my finger.
Gotcha. If there's one thing you feel like you can improve from this, what would that be?
I'll figure out a better way to stick things on.
Having more time.
Yeah.
I was waiting for that. But that's good.
That's on you.
I know it is on me. But the thing is, I wanted to show y'all because the process is the most important thing, right?
Sometimes life doesn't give you time, Asha.
Time. Life also sucks. I don't discriminate.
Y'all made.
Yeah, no, these are really
Oh my goodness, y'all made Donald. Oh my, and I like how like you have the Amazon paper on there, so it kind of adds some color to it as well. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I like that.
Hey, it's sticking on now.
So your word is electron. Oh goodness. So is this electron right here? So the. Oh my goodness, that's awesome. Did y'all? What method did y'all used to have it like this? It looks like a circle.
I looked it up on YouTube.
Is it like a scoring method, like or?
We just cut out circles, and then you like 4 circles. And you leave one hole, and you cut all these in half, and then you just glue it to the sides.
Oh my goodness, that is awesome. That's amazing. That's amazing. All right, y'all, 30 more seconds. So you should switch with the other person, discuss what you did.
It's giving.
It was Sarah.
1 more minute. And then once you're done, head back to your
It's just a little bit of spit.
You just like to date.
Oh, no. I'm
There you go. There you go.
Okay.
All right, so we're back after you taught the lesson. So how did it go? What were some of your first thoughts after that?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It's. I was not expecting today to go probably as well as I was hoping. I gotta be honest with you, like, cause you know, it's like I don't know how to describe it. Like the first year, it was good, right? But you know, I was looking for a lesson to really kind of bring out that energy from a lot of the students, and I just saw sides of students that I've never seen before. Like I saw students smiling, working on things where sometimes they would come and they're like, hey, they're happy to see me, but they're like working on it like, oh god, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't like to see pull on my cell phone, like and everything like that. But they were actually like really intently like trying to create something, and I don't think I necessarily saw many reactions of people believing that they couldn't do it. They actually like all had intent of doing something. They saw the item, even though some of them were pretty challenging. But they were, and the crazy thing also that I noticed was that they were still trying. I was telling them to stop doing it, which was the craziest part. Because like imagine you're telling students to write notes, you're not like, hey, slow down, don't take too many notes. Like, but they kept going. They're like, no, I need to finish this, Mr. Ray. And like that was so eye opening for me. That kind of like that young kid, kindergarten like energy to create things, and that I was not expecting that. I wasn't. So yeah, I was not expecting that.
I think definitely that experience of being in a classroom and looking around and realizing that every single student is engaged, interacting, doing something in the task. Like it's rare, right?
Yeah.
And there were so many moments when I looked around and thought every single person in this room is working their butts off right now.
And you know, I saw a lot of collaboration between a lot of students. We even had a new student just walk in. I didn't see them the first 2 days, but they just came in and, you know, I just added them to a group, and they were already like, hey, yeah, you should do this. And I was like, whoa. You know, that level of collaboration is like, that's what, you know, when I see even theater, like, that's level of collaboration, like, I want to see in the classroom. And, I mean, the fact that it's happening halfway through, it makes you realize that no, like this could be something that can go on the entire year. Like it's a possible thing, but it was just beautiful to see. It's something you don't really see every day, and I honestly would hope that every teacher gets that experience because I'm still mind blown. Like honestly, I am. It's just, yeah.
So you've talked about this a bit already, but what surprised you as the lesson unfolded?
Man, there's a lot of things. I mean, I showed them the tools and how to use it, but to see them like take those tools and use it in their own way, like I'm looking at this one with this group, like I think they had the Bohr model, and they took the bottle cap, and I saw the image that they were kind of referring to, and the fact that they used this, I think this is called I can't remember the name of it. I think it's a cross stitch method. They put the easel on there, and then they kind of use the bottle cap as the center to kind of emphasize, atom. This was for an atom. And I mean, I thought that was really cool how they utilized not only like the, frontal space, but also the height, like the space for that. Like they really kind of emphasized that. You can see from a lot of these things, like the goggles here as well, as you got the little notch right there that they put, like they didn't have to put that detail. They could just glue something on there. But the fact that they used goggles, and this was for lab safety, they use that. I honestly feel like putting these on. I think this would keep me pretty safe. So there was just a lot of ideas that they were kind of branching off from, and yeah, they just really utilized the ideas they used, and they didn't have a ton of time either. And I think that was the goal. The goal was to not give them a ton of time. It's to give them enough time to think, okay, maybe we could do this, but then realize, like, oh my gosh, we might not actually finish. And the fact that they were still trying to push through it was amazing, because in the past, when I realized students are running out of time, they feel like they don't have enough time for something, they tend to give up. And they didn't want to give up. And I think that's something that we need to encourage, because I'm pretty sure a lot of students are like wishing, like, no, I wish I had more time. I wish I had more time to do that. And that's something that you kind of, especially when it comes to creativity, things like this, you want to hear more about. So,
can you say a little more about that? So it was interesting. You told them they had 10 minutes, and they all panicked and got to work. But you set them up for that, right? Can you say a little bit more about your choice there?
So one thing I realized from my experience with teaching is if you give students inches, they'll take a mile. So I didn't want to give them 17 minutes from the start. I actually wanted them to be like, wait, 10 minutes? I was like, yeah, 10 minutes. Y'all got 10 minutes, right? And so they were kind of frantically kind of going through it, right? But I think it kind of also works as a pause and as a break to think about, okay, this first 10 minutes, whatever we're trying to do here, it was not working. Let's try to reset, kind of think, and what can we do to kind of go from that? So I think the fact that, you kind of have that first 10 minutes for them to kind of get familiar with the materials, knowing where things are at, right? Because they're trying to figure out where everything is at, right? You want to give them the time and the opportunity to do that, right? That kind of sets it up for the 10 minutes to kind of go from there. And then by having that break, say, okay, would you like more time? Like, oh, yes, please, more time. You're kind of like, like spoon feeding them, right? Then they're able to kind of assess and think about, okay, this is what we can improve. Okay, we got 7 more minutes. We can go a lot more from there. We know where the tools are at. We know how to go from there. Okay, you can do this, that, and kind of go from there. I think that chunking is really good for that. And I did that because I think it's also important you know your students as well, right? Because some students are like, 10 minutes, oh God, no. All right, but I feel like I knew my students well enough that to them they would feel like, oh, this 10 minutes won't be too bad. And they're like, oh gosh, we need more time. And then I was able to give them that time, and then they were able to kind of make these things, which was pretty cool. Pretty cool.
So what were you have some examples of the builds here. You've talked about some of them. Talk about some of the other builds that you saw. So some students took them with them and kept them,
they took their builds and kept them, and I'm like, oh, I'm happy for them. I'm glad they kept it because, it's something they should be proud of. There was one build that I saw with oxygen where I was singing, and I was like, I wasn't sure because they were using the canary to cut it, because I never used the canary to cut it like that. But they said it was working just fine. And then what they did was they used, I'm not sure what the name of this is, but I'm going to say like stringy...
Pipe cleaners?
Pipe cleaners, yeah. They used pipe cleaners, and they got these balls, and they circled around it and put O for oxygen into a person's mouth. And, it was funny because initially they were like, this looks terrible, the glue's all over the place and everything, and then they're showing it to other people like, wait, y'all did that for oxygen? No, that's awesome, that's cool. And I think it was standing up on its own too as well. So it's just like to see that process of them developing it, having it on paper, and then making it into reality, like that to me was like, whoa, right? And of course with the other ideas too. So this one was about metal, right? And they just straight up cut the pieces here, and they made it with what they could, right? They also, I was talking to one of the students for this one, and he was like, Mister, do you have any tape at all? And I was like, yeah, I got plenty of tape. I was like, wait a minute, we also have, we have copper tape, because the theme was metal. So he decided, right, to put copper tape along here. And I'm pretty sure if they had more time, they probably could have did a lot more, maybe have it entirely encased, right? But in this case, they're trying to showcase metal as being shiny, right, more structured, malleable, and so forth. And they're showing that here with this model, right? Let me see. This is one, I think this one wasn't fully complete, but you can see the techniques. Look at this. You can see the techniques that they're trying to use for this idea, right? So this is clearly scoring, right? They got this nice clean cut. Oh my gosh, don't want to drop that, right? From that. And you can see teams they were experimenting, right? From the things exactly from the video. So the fact that they're trying different techniques and kind of working from that, it shows experimentation. And again, if I were to continue doing this, they would get better and better at this. And this was just the first day. It's the first day, and they're able to do this much. It only makes me imagine if I gave them more projects like this and kind of expand from that, what can they do with that? So a lot to think about. It was so cool. It was so cool.
So it sounds like there's some science process skills that they're also hitting in here. So if you think about like teachers being concerned that they're not hitting all the standards they're supposed to hit, I mean, it sounds like you saw like some of those standards being enacted and worked with.
Absolutely. And you know, for the atom, right? Here they have a nucleus. Here they have the electrons, right? For the representation of an atom, right? And again, you could probably go more specifics, like, hey, maybe you should include electrons, neutrons, but they have that here. Like, they got the electrons. I mean, the electrons here. I'm not sure if these are neutrons or protons, but either or it's fine, but it's in the center. So they're showcasing that they have a knowledge and understanding of this in their own way. And, you know, I think, you know, this is one of the best ways to show your understanding is to be able to create something. It's that next level. It's like, hey, create an object or thing that represents what you think is for this word. And even when they're working on this, they looked up the definition and everything, but they also have to make their own definition and interpret that in their own way, right? So they're creating something new based off of prior knowledge. And of course, with the lesson, there was different structures and steps to get to that. So I think it really comes with this just facilitating that, going from there, and just kind of guiding them along the way. But also being okay to just let them do what they got to do once you feel like they got it.
How did watching them build these things, how did that help you better understand their understanding or what they were thinking about these concepts? Like, did you learn stuff about their understanding that you would not have known any other way?
Yeah, I mean, I realized a lot of my kids are pretty talented because I don't know, like, I remember when I first did something like this, one of the cardboard cutout lessons, they gave us like 40 minutes to do something like this, and it was, for me, it was still tough to do that. But a lot of them were able to very quickly shift from the design process up into the creative process. So one of the things that really impressed me was, of course, them showcasing their knowledge on the topic. Because it's been a minute since we talked about lab safety and atoms and isotopes and so forth. But in addition to that, just them kind of being able to take materials and shift from, you know, a rough draft to a final product using their prior knowledge, even though it's been 2 weeks, you know, or actually not 2 weeks, 18 days to be correct, right? Is to me quite amazing. Because again, you know, if I would have just given them a review sheet, I would have not expected them to, you know everything like that. But the fact that they were able to do it in such a short amount of time shows that they have a very deep level of understanding that you probably wouldn't be able to get on a review paper or on a simple Kahoot game and things like that. It just shows a higher level of understanding.
You said that you saw students like smile for the first time, like, or things like that. Like, if you could talk about the comparison of like how some students would behave in a traditional lesson versus like how you saw them behave this time.
Yeah, you know, we've had lessons whereby it was very note heavy, and you know they pick up the paper and we do a warm up and you know get engaged and everything, but you know you kind of see the look of like you know like tired and you know going to the cell phone and you know like I'm saying, hey, make sure you write this down and make sure you get this down and everything. And just kind of like the life being sucked out of them not looking very happy about what they're learning, right? And again, this goes back to what I said before. I feel like learning is a natural process. I think it's something that everybody inherently wants to do, right? And, you know, seeing this, you know, I had one group talking about flammability and them just kind of taking their idea, just running it, like making a giant flame from that, or the group I was doing electrons and drawing their own version of what they thought was the electron and kind of going from there and including the charge and so forth, right? They're able to express themselves and, you know, to see that level of energy, movement, and them being so ecstatic about learning, you know, prior concepts, especially new concepts, because some of the words are like, oh man, I don't remember seeing that, right? So it may have felt new to them. You know, to me, that was such an important and also eye-opening experience for me. And I would say I think for them it was for them as well, because I don't think a lot of them were expecting a lesson like this. It was definitely a huge change up, and yeah, I mean, I enjoyed what I was seeing, and I am pretty sure that if I could ask them, they would say the same as me.
So this lesson was kind of like a review-based lesson.
Yeah.
Do you have other ideas about how to use Maker outside of review? Like, could you use it in introducing new material, or what other types of lessons do you think Maker would be valuable for?
That's a good question. Well, I mean, I did use it for review today, right? But I think it could be used, like, for example, like, I'm trying to think of a good example that I used it for. I think we had a project on last year or it was 2 years ago. It was actually during like virtual learning during the 2020 school year. And we didn't have access to necessarily materials like this. So making doesn't only have to just be, just with actual materials. They can also do it through other creative means like Google Slides, things like that. And I had students actually have to make like a theme based off the Radium Girls, as far as like I can't remember the exact project, like as far as making their case for them and explaining that, right? And they got really creative with just Google Slides, like as far as making certain themes, including certain GIFs on there to describe that story, right? So it could be a way to not only review material, but also create something new based off like something going on in the world, right? Like some actual chemistry topic related to the world, right? So for example, Flint, Michigan, they still don't got clean water, right? Maybe you can make a project to describe like, hey, how can you bring awareness to this, and how can you, make a scene to actually bring awareness to Flint, Michigan, or things like that, right? So you can talk about these topics and have them be creative to make solutions towards that. Or make a problem-based solution, right? Maybe bring up a problem that's going on, and you can say, hey, this is a rough draft. How would you do that? Create something or a model of that from there, based off the different cutting techniques and so forth that you've done for that, right? So there's a lot of different ways you can do it. I can see a lot of uses for this, especially for math classes as well. Geometry, oh gosh, geometry would have a ton of fun with this, right? So there's a lot of different uses for you can use it for, not just review, but also introducing new topics as well.
Yeah. Another question that I have for you is, when you think about, so we all like to think about inclusion and equity in classrooms. How do you see making as playing a role of increasing inclusion and equity in your class?
The thing is, and I'm really trying to, so the thing is that with making, it doesn't matter what background you come from, like the focus is just creating something new, right? So, for example, if I were to give out, some notes or some note paper, right, on a topic, right? Some students might have difficulty, reading said paper, right? Dyslexia, right? Some students might have difficulty maybe seeing certain topics, right? Maybe some students might have difficulty, communicating with others, right? So forth. Making is good because it kind of comes from within, because you're bringing out something that, that inspires you, motivates you, right? And you're putting something from, again, from an idea into the real world. So it doesn't really matter what background you come from. You can always make, because we naturally create ever since we were kids. And we just naturally just put blocks on each other, blocks on top of each other, right? So the reason why it helps with differentiation is because a student might not have an opportunity to show what they know through a test, or through a quiz, or through whichever other means, right? Especially tests and quizzes. Sorry, right? But with making, they have the opportunity to do that, right? In many different ways, and it doesn't have to just be through cardboard as well. It can be through coding. It could be through like electronics. It can be through online, right? But at the end of the day, they're making something, right? And because they're creating something that's about them and what they know, and also the help with facilitation from a teacher, right? That helps them express things that they wouldn't be able to show on a test or a quiz. And I think that's what making really is all about. It kind of gives students the opportunity to shine, not in a way that you would expect them to, and that can't be measured, by the school system in a lot of ways. So I think that's, because for sure, like, so this project right here, the group that made this, I was not expecting this. And I was like, whoa, so, seeing these projects here, they're just great examples of students being able to really branch out and try something new.
It also sounds like, too, you're making all these connections to things that are kind of education buzzwords, but like SEL, social emotional learning, like connecting that, like culturally relevant, culturally responsive instruction. Teach like social justice oriented projects. And so it sounds like there's just a lot of stuff, that a lot of sort of things that we think are important in education that you can use making as a tool to access.
And thank you for mentioning that, because one of the things, especially when it comes to teaching, I've talked to my students about this too, is a lot of times teaching can be very linear, right? I understand, as a teacher, it can be very tiring, very fatiguing and everything. But at the end of the day, we're trying to teach this next generation to help create creative solutions to help benefit humanity, right? And, you know, with making, that's the whole concept behind it. You're creating something and making something, right? And learning, right, in a natural way that it hopes that you don't even realize that you're learning something at all. And along the way, if you keep doing it, who knows, you might actually find a solution to a problem that many people have been dealing with, and you can change the world forever. So, you know, with when it comes to making, it's just there's just so many branches to it, and this is just one side of it. Like there's so many different lessons. There's so many different lessons that you could do with this, and it's like I can't. I'm trying to think of so many. Like I remember there was a lesson that I did with I think it was Mr. Oren at Ann Richards School, where we were doing wood making with that, and just, like doing different projects with that. There's one where we were using drones and learning how to use that, and he was talking about different lessons you can have with just like cheap little drones that you can fly around, right? So it's not just limited to just only like cardboard. I really want to emphasize that there's a whole branch of making, and in addition to that, another big thing about making is that there's a community for it too as well. So there's maker spaces around, right? Plenty of maker spaces around that you can actually have students make and engage with community, right, as well, and get connected to other schools, teachers, and so forth. So it's not really just, it doesn't have to stay within the classroom. It can actually go outside, way outside the classroom as well. And I think students can make things that they're proud of and post on social media. So that's great. Yeah.